Easy now.
Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't want to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Try the marijuana. I was loving you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feel the change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast, powered by The Athletic. Shout out to the company. My name is Michael-Shawn and Christopher. You can follow me on the whatever the hell Twitter is called now. I got to get used to that, Chris. I don't know what to actually call that thing. But anyway, I'm still at Mike Dugar on there, Mikedugar. Also, shout out to everyone who's been subscribing on YouTube, Seahawks Man-to-Man, the number 2 man. That's the name of the channel. We appreciate all the love and support that we get on the tube. Thank you. Chris, talk to him.
His mama named him Twitter. I'm going to call him Twitter. I'm sticking with it. I don't care what Elon is doing over there. It's staying at Twitter for me. You can follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206, and that's CKid206. And we're back for another week of potting as, man, training camp is well underway. The pads came out, Monday, Mike?
Yeah, we've had 2 days of pads now, which is, I'm glad we're doing the pod after that we get some pads on for multiple days, because that's when you can really assess a lot of the positions. Like that, the run period they do just feels so meaningless when they have no pads on, right? It's like, come on, dog. The linebackers ain't got no pads on. D-line, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really glad that we got a couple days. Got 6 total. I've been at every practice so far, a couple of pads. It's been very, very entertaining. After this most recent practice, I asked you guys, if you had any questions about camp, to submit them. You guys did your thing, as always, gave us some stuff to chew on. After 6 days of camp, Devon Witherspoon's holdout being over is really nice too, because he's the guy I wanted to talk about. And I think he's the guy we got the most questions about, Chris, if I'm not mistaken. Let's start with the young buck. Shall we? I know someone asked my early thoughts on him. I actually have a lot of thoughts on Devon. But one thing that has stood out beyond I don't really care about his holdout. Like, if you have any questions about that, I don't really care. He signed, so he's here. And he got a bag too. Good for him. But playing him in the slot, like, I don't think, if he was just a slot guy, I would kind of categorize that as a misuse of the draft pick. And somebody was in my mentions making that point, like, if we just drafted a nickel with the 5th pick, what the hell are we doing? Now, if that was the case, I would feel that. But the thing about Devon is, the more I watch him, he seems like the nickel is something he can do, like, in addition to the other stuff. And it just also helps them just put the best guys on the field, which is important. That he can do so much. Like, Devon can play. I've seen Devon play mostly. He's like backup nickel, moonlighting with the starting nickel group. It's either him or Kobe, depending on the team period that they're in. And then I've also seen him play left cornerback as well. So he's doing both. It reminds me of Jeremy Lane. My first year, I think Jeremy Lane was like the starting right corner. And then in passing downs, he came into nickel, and then Shaquille Griffin would come on the field. So they basically had 3 starters at corner. It was Shaq, and at that time it was Sherm, and then Jay Lane. And it was just kind of situational. Jay Lane still was intended to play a lot of snaps. Eventually he got hurt. Shaq took his job. But the plan there feels very similar. And, like, Devon can cover. Like, it's very obvious when you watch him on tape. And I did a story where I looked at some of his tape. This was like back in May or whatever. Like, he can cover. Really, I feel like there's no reason to worry about that, like, at all. You watch some of the one-on-ones that we posted on, what was that, Monday? Like, he's fine. Like, he had a curl route against Lockett, looked fine. I think he had rep against Jackson Smith and Jigba, looked fine. And then that drill, I think, is really telling for what he can do. He was in the slot against Jackson and then outside against Tyler and covered them both well. There ain't but so many dudes on the team doing that. Like, that's really talented stuff. And then when they do the run periods, like today, he comes in, boom, TFL on DJ Dallas, boom, comes in, blows up a QB run to Drew Lock. Now, I mean, Drew Lock ain't necessarily white Michael Vick, but the awareness coming off the edge to blow that play up, like that's the stuff. Like I feel really encouraged by his ability to do both. It's not just like, oh dang, he ain't better than Michael Jackson, so we got to play him inside. I don't necessarily think that's how you guys should look at what they're doing with Devin. That's like the first thing, because I can see how I was reading some of my stuff and I was reading some of like other people's stuff who've been at camp, and I was like, if you're not here and no one explains it to you, you can think like, damn, Mike, we drafted a nickel with the 5th pick when Michael Jackson's out here balling. What the hell? And I actually understand that. That would, if that was my team, that would worry me as well, because that is a poor use of resources. But nah, it's more like we drafted an outside corner who can also play nickel. Like, view it that way. If you say it like that, and he can also defend the run, you're like, oh, all right, well then that's a good pick. Like, I still, by the time week 1 comes around, I still expect Devin to be the starter, Tariq to be on the other side, and then when it's nickel, Mike Jack comes in to play outside, and then Devin slides inside. I don't know what's going to happen with Jamal Adams, Julian Love, and Quandre at the safety thing. That's probably a combo for the day when Jamal's closer to being healthy. But as far as the DBs, like, that's the early thought. That's my prediction, at least, not necessarily an early thought. Because Devin, man, I mean, Chris, you've seen the clips we posted a little bit, like this, and then they posted one today, I want to say, or Tuesday, was him guarding Dee Eskridge, like on the goal line. Like, Devin can do, and that was from the slot, I believe. Like, Devin can do a little bit of everything. And man, I wish he was out there today, man, or Tuesday. He's your type of guy. You would like watching him, because he's a dog and he can cover. And Chris, he does your favorite thing. He gets his head around.
Yeah,
gets his head around, man.
I don't know how many times I feel as if every year at some point I bring up the discussion about, hey, DBs, just turn your head, and you never know, the ball might be in your lap. But when you're in college, I don't know if it's taught at certain programs to get your head around. I know sometimes it's just sprint down the field as fast as you can to try to make up the ground when you're beat, and maybe the ball hits you in the back of the head, which I understand. But if you also get uncomfortable, or is it comfortable with turning your head in an uncomfortable situation, 9 times out of 10, the ball will be there. Now you just have to react and get used to turning and jumping or swatting the ball down, making a play. And from what you're telling me, it sounds as if he has that down in the bag. He's comfortable with turning, running full speed. He sees the receiver's eyes getting big, hands going up, whatever it may be, an indicator saying that it's time for me to make a play on the football. He's comfortable in doing so. And that's rare that you have a rookie doing that. But the good news is, what pick was he, Mike? He was the 5th overall pick. Yeah. So you would hope that he is capable of doing that and is able to make plays, bat the pass down, interception, things of that nature. The biggest question for me with Devin is Sauce Gardner, right? He went 4th overall. The debate is last year, that is in the 2022 NFL draft. He went 4th overall, and the discussion that everyone's talked about is how much better is he than Tariq, right? As you mentioned, I think last week, Mike, the gap isn't all that big, right? It's not a canyon. It's very close. One DB specialized in getting interceptions. Another DB specialized in pass breakups. I think he led the league with 16, was it?
I think he had 20.
20, okay. So
I think Tariq had 16.
Okay. Nonetheless, 2 guys that are great at defending the pass. The question is, Mike, do you think Spoon is going to be that type of impact player his rookie season? Can he be the guy that is a rookie of the year? Defensive rookie of the year, that is. Can he be a guy that goes out and gets 3 interceptions, 10-plus pass breakups? Because you can imagine teams are going to test him. They're not going to shy away from him. They're trying to throw on Tariq's side, assuming that he comes in healthy and better than he was last year. Mike, do you see a possibility where Spoon is, defensive rookie of the year, and he is definitely one of the best corners in this league as a rookie?
I don't know about best corner in the league as a rookie, but I do think that I think what's going to hurt him rookie of the year is he's just not going to get enough. He's not going to have the hype. When your name is Sauce, you only, that's just like, that's different. He's got a Sauce chain. I think he was on the cover of like Sports Illustrated. Like, it's just different. It's just different stuff that you're working with there. We play in New York, So I think I think this year is probably going to be a pass rusher. Like if I was a gambling man, I would probably put my money on like Will Anderson or something to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'd have to look at the odds to see who's like the best value. But where I do think Spoon is going to have a chance to have a lot of impact because of how he's playing all over the field, and they're going to try so much stuff with him. I mean, it's kind of similar to Kobe Bryant a little bit last year. Like Kobe, I think, had like a sack, maybe 2 sacks. He had pass breakups. He had forced fumbles because when you're in the nickel, you're just around so much more action. You get targeted quite a bit. Like he's going to get targeted on the outside. He's going to get targeted on the inside. He's going to be able to have to fit some runs. He's going to guard some tight ends because when he's playing inside and the 2 high looks, he's going to maybe have some plays on running backs in the flat, whatever, little stick routes, like little slants. He had a slant that he almost broke up against Jackson Smith and Jigba on Monday, I want to say. And Devin, he and Trey Brown seem to like have 2 things in common. Like they recognize stuff really well. Trey's actually really good at it. I mean, sometimes it feels like being a corner is like when you get to a certain point, like Richard Sherman, you're just running a route for the guy. But I feel like sometimes it is very similar to being like a goalie. I remember I used to cover soccer, and I don't really know soccer that well, but when I used to cover it, I would interview the goalies after shootouts. And like, oh, how'd you kind of figure that? He's like, man, I just guessed. Like they do a lot of guessing on those shootouts, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like some of that is probably at play with corners. Like, all right, if he's doing that, there's only so many routes you run from certain splits and alignments, right? Like outside guys only running so much stuff. But then part of it is like, all right, I'm kind of feeling like he's about to break down. If he runs a curl, I'm about to just jump that joint, which is also how you see guys get beat on double.
Yeah, Trayvon Diggs, he's great at doing that.
Yeah, like he
jumps a lot.
Like, he has a high IQ, but also he'd be jumping stuff tough, like quite a bit. Marcus Peters also in that same kind of vein. I see some of that in Devin, where it's like, okay, he saw how that was going to develop in time to do something about it. Trey Brown is like that as well. Like if you go back to Trey Brown, I think you can find it on YouTube. Like Trey Brown's Senior Bowl reps from the 2021 Senior Bowl. Like Trey was dominating in one-on-one because I think he got a pick in one-on-one, which is crazy when you think about it. Like he's got that recognition. I see some of that same stuff in Spoon. You can see like Tyler Lockett even mentioned that. I think DK Lockett kind of mentioned that, or excuse me, DK Metcalf. I know it's all coming together. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett got both separately mentioned. Like, yeah, no, Spoon's got some good like instinctual stuff, route recognition. You're seeing the same stuff you saw at Illinois. Like one of his bigger plays at Illinois was coming down on like a screen pass and just decapitating either the running back, whoever it was. Yep. Yeah, just took dude's head off. Right, that was route recognition. Boom, go. He's doing some of that same stuff already. So yeah, I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities to impact the game in a lot of ways, which is another benefit to being able to play in the nickel, in the slot as well. Like that, if I had to give one more comp, it reminds me of Jalen Ramsey. Like Jalen Ramsey can play on the outside. Like he's great at that. He's been all pro at that, Pro Bowl. And then he's also like, all right, the Rams are like, we're going to play you as some nickel. Can you be, or they call it like the star or whatever. It doesn't matter. He was, yeah, can you do that? And then Jalen's really good at that too, in part because he's like a really physical run guy. And that's a perfect transition because that what also is standing out about Spoon is he is just a big ball of like energy. It's almost like he drinks like 5 Red Bulls or something like that and takes 3 5-hour energy drinks and then runs onto the field and just is like screaming and yelling and hollering and celebrating and dancing and just letting people know every time he does something. Like he had a play and he makes a play, then has reason to celebrate. Like for example, he had a play on Monday. They run a tight end screen to his side. He's basically on an island with Colby Parkinson, giving up like 7 inches of height and like 60 plus pounds. And he just sticks his head in there and just boom, just cracks Colby on the sideline and gets up and just starts barking at the sideline. Like that's some dog in him. And he did the same thing today or Tuesday. It was Dee Eskridge was running towards the sideline, and Devin, I mean, he didn't really need to hit him. Play's over. He just smoked D. D popped right back up to D's credit, but he just smoked him. I'm talking like drove him into the ground type of stuff you don't usually see at a Seahawks practice because Pete's pretty huge about having guys stay up, not get on the ground. But whew, and he gets up, he's barking with D after that too. D, to his credit, barking back. But like I'm like, yeah, nah, he's like that. It's very similar to Jalen Ramsey, who's feisty like that too.
Surprised you didn't say. I was gonna say Jamal Adams because I remember the first year he got to Seattle. everyone knew he was there because what was he doing, Mike? He was talking.
He was talking every play, even if a teammate made a play. That's probably the difference between Devon and Jamal. Jamal's talking if Quandre makes a play. Jamal's like, yeah, that's what it is. What time we on? Devon's more like if he makes a play, it's like, yeah, that's what type of time I'm on. Like I'm here. Like, and that's it's standing out because he's doing it when he makes plays. You know that. So now every time he makes a play, we really notice it. So it's been really positive with watching Devon so far. Again, I do think he'll end up being the starting left corner when the season actually starts.
I'm right there.
I think Mike's going to play a lot too because Mike's earned that. He's earned that.
So how does it? I guess before we move on and show some of the highlights from what we were talking about in regards to DBs and wide receivers, how is that going to happen? Is it going to be a preseason game where they just, all right, Mike, we're putting you at, you're not starting anymore? Because I do think by week 1, I have a feeling that Devon will be the starting corner on the left side and Tariq will be on the right, and that'll be the lineup for the year. And then the nickel will be probably Kobe. I don't think Mike Jackson's going to nickel. I don't think he has the foot speed, the quickness to even be there. I think he's literally an outside corner. And then obviously your safeties are Diggs and Julian Love. How do you see it playing out?
That's what I'm saying. I think that you're going to get – so your base defense, if I had to guess, right, let's assume Jamal is not ready for week 1. Neither is Jordan Brooks. It just makes it easier for this scenario. Your starting defense up front, Jay Reed, Draymond Jones, Mario Edwards, Uchenna Nwosu, Darrell Taylor, and then now we're in the secondary. Base defense, Devon, Bush, Bobby. So there's that's 7. And then now we got 4 on the back end. Left, Devon Witherspoon. Or just Spoon. Quandre, Julian, right side is going to be Tariq. Cool. Now here's our nickel. Nickel, let's say you pull Jay Reed off the field, right? Because he's the nose. Pull Jay Reed off, and you bring Mike Jack on the field to play left, and then just tell Devon, boop, slide over. Now you are in the slot. So that's your like best 12 guys right there. That base, nickel. And then Mike. Mike is your 12th guy, but he's an extra outside guy. And then when you get to dime,
6 DBs,
you pull Devon off the field, Bush, and then you put in right now they're putting in Kobe.
So you think it's going to be Kobe, or will it be Jamal comes back and now it's Julian?
Yeah, so that scenario was assuming that Jamal is not ready. So it's kind of interesting because now they're playing Kobe at safety. So I think we had a question about Kobe. As we can kind of transition to the whole DB room. Who was that? I think that was Jackson that sent us a question about Kobe that I thought was really interesting.
Yes, it was. Let me pull it up again. Here it is. With an increasingly crowded secondary and Mike Jackson's performance in camp, does moving Kobe Bryant to safety make sense given his skill set?
Yeah, this was a really interesting question about Jackson. It's something else that I was just talking with somebody about on Monday. I was like, man, I mean, it was Sunday. It doesn't matter. But I was like, yo, this is really tough on Kobe. Like he plays outside corner basically most of his life. Like I'm pretty sure at high school, that's definitely what he did at Cincinnati. And then he gets here and it's like, cool, you're left corner. We got this Tariq kid to play opposite of you. You guys are going to be backing up Artie and Sidney Jones. Cool. And then like right after the mock game, they're like, you know what? Have some nickel. He never done it, but do it. And then he does it, and he plays it, and he's learning it, and he's doing his thing. And then he has a decent year, and they draft Devon. And it's like, all right, well, ooh, man, this might get dicey. Can you play some safety? Yeah, we've never done it, but do it. And it's like, man, that's tough, man. It's tough to just keep learning all this new stuff. Not to say he can't do it, won't even be good at it. I just think that's tough, man. Like sometimes guys, you expedite the learning and the growth as a player when you just like, hey, do this thing. Like you're good at this thing, so do this thing. You did it in college. You're gonna do it here. Like sometimes it's just much easier for those guys. So I actually don't think, at least right now, that's the best use of it of what Kobe can do because I do think Kobe can play corner. I do think they probably think he doesn't have the foot speed necessarily to do it on the outside with how fast some of these guys are getting in the league, which is kind of whatever. But it's not like you don't need fast foot speed to play nickel either. Like you need even more quickness, I would say, to do it there. And I don't remember what Kobe's three cone was or whatever at the combine, but it wasn't what you would use as like a typical nickel. It didn't project that, I'm pretty sure. And now you're talking safeties, like, well, I mean, there's a lot going on back there when you're safety. Kobe's got good ball skills. He's a physical dude. Like, he's smart. He can do it. But I think that I wouldn't even view the move with Kobe as the best use of what he can do, as much as it's just because of the numbers, the only way to get him on the field, which I do think your job as coaching staff is to just find ways to get your best guys on the field. Like, if Kobe, if to play Kobe last year, you got to play him at nickel, which seemed like the right move because the way Mike, Jack, and Tariq played. All right, fine. So hey man, learn nickel. I remember one time I was asking about LJ Collier one year. I think it was like 2021. Can't remember. One of the years LJ didn't play much. I was like, yeah, what's he got to do to get on the field?
Oh, Tub. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. This is different. This different LJ quotes. Great quote. But the Tub quote was good too.
Sorry, my bad.
I was like, what's LJ got to do to get on the field? And the coach was like, can he play corner? You know, and he was joking, but it was like, nah, for real. Like, sometimes you just need to do something else. Like, we'll put you on the field, but you got to learn this. Like, if you want to play, do this. And credit to Kobe, who's embraced anything they're asking him to do. Like, Kobe's the type of guy, he'll be the holder on field goals. If he'll learn it, you know, he'll long snap if you ask him to. Like, he'll just do whatever it takes to get on the field. But no, I actually don't think that's the best use. I think he's like really fit to be an outside corner. But if I had to rank his talents or the positions that match his talents, I would go corner, safety, then nickel. Because I do think that him being able to see things and come downhill at stuff, I do think that helps. And he can still cover a lot of ground because he's not like slow. He's just not like Tariq fast. So he can still cover a lot of ground on that back end. But I am very curious how that goes, because safety is not necessarily a wide open spot either. You got Quandre, you got Julian, and then there's Joey Blunt, who I like at that spot too. Joey, who's also a good player, who's naturally a safety, whereas someone else like Kobe is learning it. So I kind of feel bad for Kobe, because it would seem like it would just be easier to just do what you've been doing since high school or college. You know what I mean? Like, just do what you're already naturally kind of born to do, quote unquote. So I'm skeptical of some of the moves, but I do think that like someone in the media room before I left on Tuesday was like, man, it looks like they're just doing whatever they can to get Kobe on the field. And I was like, shoot, it's better than just not playing him. You know, like they're actively trying to get you on the field. That means something. Like that, I think that is the positive part of it.
They see the value. They think you're one of the best guys, and they got to figure out how to maximize that to get you on the field to make plays. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, no, and that's what you want. It's like, coach, how can I get on the field? He's like, we do need to get you on the field. But like, you can see in some of the one-on-one stuff, and we got some clips of that from Monday's practice. Like, it just doesn't look as natural with Kobe. I don't think as much as some of the other guys, like some of the other guys in the slot. So we'll see how that goes. But Chris, man, these one-on-ones were fun. This DB group is like, this might be the deepest DB group that Pete's had in a while. It's not the best, because obviously he had Sherm and Max, Byron Maxwell playing opposite each other, which is like hard to beat, because Sherm's like a Hall of Fame corner. But
yeah,
between Trey Brown, Devon Witherspoon, who's unproven, but you guys get the point, Mike Jack, who's been very solid, with Tariq as well, and then like I like Kobe as well. Like this is the most exciting position group on the field, and these guys are. You can see how these one-on-ones. These guys are battling, man. This is some good stuff.
It's fascinating. They have probably the deepest wide receiver group they've had in a long time. And then you just mentioned their DB room is just as deep. And we talked about where Kobe Bryant could potentially play, the ceiling for Devon Witherspoon, how great he can be in this Seahawks defense. You're already saying, well, when Reed gets back, that's going to be just fireworks. Julian Love, his potential to play nickelback or just safety. Like, there's a lot of room for these guys, and not a lot of room. It's really tight in there, and it comes down to what you do in camp, preseason games. They're all going to get an opportunity to showcase some of their skill set, and just seeing the clips you posted and then reading about how one-on-ones went and how the receivers and DBs interacted, I think you're hitting it on the money. But Jackson Smith-Njigba looks like he's just unguardable in this scenario. I feel like he should not do one-on-ones 7-on-7 only. Just, hey, man, you're excluded from this drill. We get it. You're always finding a way to get open, as you've been watching here on this clip that for our YouTube people that are watching as well. But I think this room on both sides of the football, man, they're gonna be battle tested against one another. And then when they get in games, I think it's just gonna unlock another level for this team, which would hopefully be beneficial. This team has goals and aspirations of doing big things this season. So they didn't meet their goal last year, obviously, after the Niners pretty much dogged them out in the postseason. But man, watching these one-on-ones, I kind of been watching them the last 48 hours, been watching the tape on these guys, and not the tape, but watching the clips and just watching how Tyler Lockett still got it, even though he's 31?
He turns 31 in September, yeah.
And he's out here just making it look as if he's a rookie. Still quick. He's able to make a defender think he's going one way and does another thing. I mean, hell, you just see Jackson Smith and Jigba here on an out route just making Kobe stutter and fall. And it was the dead leg. He just gave a nice little dead leg, and that froze him. This is fun. This is just great.
Yeah, and I think that there's really no incentive to trade any of these guys, I think, because what's important to note is that none of these guys are like costing them very much. So because of that, you could probably get some good value. Like if someone has an ACL injury at another team, you could put like, hey, somebody gonna toss you a 2nd-round pick for like Trey Brown or something like that. I don't think so, but I just don't think there's a lot of incentive. Like you have a lot of like cost controlled dudes. Like Mike Jack, I think is like an exclusive rights guy, so it's like the minimum for whatever years he is in the league. I think it's like year 4, maybe 5. So he's on a really friendly contract. Trey Brown's on a really friendly contract. Obviously, he's a 4th-round guy in year 3. Tariq, obviously, 5th-round guy in year 2. Who else they got? Devon is Devon's on a rookie deal. Like everybody's like good and cheap. Like I feel like it's okay to just like load up on those. Like I don't think it's just something like the Michael-Shawn Witherspoon situation. I think that was more like just them not rocking with how kind of Michael gets down to his personality. For better or worse, they just didn't rock. So they was like, we'll just give you away for a future 5th-round pick. I don't think that's the case here. I could only see something like that. Like, hey, if they're like, hey, we need to move a guy because we had an injury at nose tackle, so now we need to pick up a nose tackle. But to get a nose tackle, the other team wants a corner or something like that. Maybe one of those type of situations. Or, and this kind of happens sometimes, guys ask out. Let's say maybe a few weeks in, this is just an example. I didn't say he said this. Trey Brown's like, you know what, coach, I'm not playing. I feel like you guys should release me, something like that. Now they probably wouldn't do that, but maybe if they're like, all right, cool, go. They like, hey, we'll trade you to somebody, get something for you or something like that. I don't think that would happen, but unless that happens, I really don't think there's any value in getting rid of like good low cost depth. Like if on the bench when Devon and Tariq are on the field, if your guys on the bench are Mike Jack and Trey Brown, you should just keep them. Like you should just keep those dudes. And even Artie Burns too. I don't think there's probably room for him, but like that's another guy who can come in a pinch and hold it down for like a month if someone like rolls the ankle or gets a knee sprain or something like that. Like I think there's so much reason to be excited about the whole DB room. Whenever Jamal gets back, add that in there as well. But just Quandre and Julian, those dudes, they're just all over. They're all over the field. I think Julian had picked off Geno twice already. Quandre just picked off Geno the other day. Like the DB room, Chris, is something to be encouraged about as we watch some of these one-on-ones on the screen. I encourage, if you're listening to audio, at some point pause and come over here to YouTube and check out some of this stuff. Some of it's on my Twitter. Actually, all of it's on my Twitter as well. But Chris, I also watched the one-on-ones from the O-line and the D-line. This was on Tuesday. There was some interesting stuff in there too, and not as much as like any individual reps like really were like, oh dang, this is lit. It was more so like, yo, this edge room might really be something. Like I was low on the edge room during the draft. Like I was like, you should draft the edge rusher high. Like you should get Will Anderson, and they probably should have if he'd have fell there. But between like they're probably going to carry 4 guys, right? So 4 edge guys on the active roster. You're probably looking at Chenna, DT, Darrell Taylor, Derek Hall, a rookie who looks a lot like Cam Chancellor, by the way. I don't know if I'm like if that's a thing. People have tweeted that or said it. Like I saw Cam at practice the other day, and I was like, Derek Hall looks like your little brother. Anyway, got Derek Hall, Darrell Taylor, Chinanu Wilson, and then Boye. For some reason, I just like Boye had just slipped my mind for a little bit. That's a cool little four-man rotation there on the edge. And as Clint Hurt mentioned to us on Tuesday, this is a team that finished tied for 7th in sacks, and they had the lowest blitz rate in the league. So they were basically just trusting their guys to get home, and they got there. Like that is really, really impressive. Like I am excited to watch the younger edge guys in the preseason in particular. I don't think I need to see much from Daryl or Chenna, but sign me up for all the Derek Hall reps in preseason. Sign me up for all the Boye Mafe reps. I think every guy has like something different they bring. Darrell Taylor, I'm really excited about because like he's so fast that I feel like he's going to get to a point where offensive linemen are going to like overset because he's so fast, and then he's going to start hitting people with counters, and he's going to start looking unguardable. And at that point, Chris, we might be looking at a team that finished with like 50 sacks in 2023.
So, yeah, speaking of 50 sacks, I'm right there with you, Mike. This team definitely has an opportunity to have opportunity to get to the quarterback. I know I talked about it last week with Darrell Taylor having a slow start. If he can just have a better start and finish through the entire season, that's a great sign. You also need Boye Mafe. Little more consistency. Obviously, he has to get in there and play more, but he's behind Darrell Taylor in that regard, so that's going to be an interesting thing. But when he gets in, just make the splash plays, make the big plays, make the third down sacks, make the big run stuff, whatever it takes. Derek Hall, another young guy that's going to get opportunity in the preseason, but he's someone that the Seahawks are looking at and saying, okay, we brought you in here. We think that you are going to help this defense. Mario Edwards Jr., they have some guys on this roster that can get it done. The question is, will they? And that's something that we're going to have to wait and see come preseason game, because you mentioned, Mike, that you want to see some of these young guys getting after it in the preseason, where they will definitely get their opportunities to do so. And it should be this, as you always say, Mike, the D-line can't get much worse, which is so accurate. And you hope that they get better, but you hope that they don't flatline and stay the same. You want to see this team touch 49, 50 sacks this season. And if they do that, then that means not only is the pass rush good, we're assuming that Jamal Adams come back and is healthy, and Bobby Wagner continues to play football at a high level. That means the run game is going to be stifled. And then you looked at the DB room, where we just talked about how deep it is and how many guys they got that are talented. What can you do against the Seahawks? This could be a potential defense that's top 10 in everything. Stopping the run, stopping the pass, getting after the quarterback, third down rate. Those are all things that a winning football team has to be good at. And if they can hit on that, then, yeah, this team could make a promising run. The other thing we got to think about is, what can the offense do? And that's going to be on the shoulders of Geno Smith. Can he be the guy that can win you some games? That's going to be like, okay, Geno can win us some games. Or is he going to be, when you saw the quarterback tiers, he might not be able to win you games, but you're not going to lose too many with him. There's levels to this. So that, I think, is also going to be a key component. But defensively, I'm still on a page out of Mike's book. Can't get much worse. You know, you bring it in.
At least in the run defense, can't get much worse. Pass defense could fall off for sure. The pass defense was pretty solid, but I think the run defense is what I was really, that concerns me quite a bit. Right. At least like after last year was pretty bad. But I do think it's crazy because in football, one player does not usually make like a world of difference. But like, I actually legitimately think just have, if they change nothing else and just had Bobby back, it would change everything. Like, I just think that having Bobby back means so much. He's seen everything. He knows what's coming. I remember one year he made the NFL Players Top 100. I mean, he made it this year too. I think it was like 62. But one year he made it, and you know they have the profile of each guy, and they have other players talking about each guy. One of the clips was Bobby stopping a run against the 49ers and yelling at the 49ers sideline, "We know where y'all players are going. We know where y'all players are going." You know, that's just, I mean, not to say that the guys last year didn't know, you know, some stuff like they didn't watch ball either, but Bobby just knows it at a different level. Like, everybody on the team knows that.
He's able to do things differently. Like, I think on Tuesday, when he talked to the media, Mike?
Bobby was on Monday.
Excuse me. So on Monday, he talked about gaps, A and B gaps. And he mentioned how a team's going to run a certain play over and over again, but Bobby knows instinctively, well, they might run this play over and over again, but I got to know which gap it is to attack. And that might be to your point, Mike, where the Niners ran the same play over and over again, but the Seahawks weren't able to figure out, okay, they're lining up in the same thing. Where do I attack as a linebacker? Where do I attack as a corner? And that's the difference. That's what Bobby brings in. He knows, well, they're coming out in the same formation. I did it this way. Well, now I got to do it this way to get after it and make a play. Those are just the little intricacies that I think Bobby's going to bring to this defense that wasn't there last season. And even you touched on it last week and talking about how Bobby Wagner can definitely help with this run defense. That ties into it because the Niners, well, actually, the best game that we could talk about is against the Panthers, where they ran a similar play the entire game. They just dressed it up differently every time or had a guy in motion. Bobby would be able to realize that and send a player here or there and make changes. Ultimately, that didn't happen against the Carolina Panthers. They literally ran the same play the entire game. Might have just dressed it up differently, sent a guy in motion. But every time they ran that certain play, me and you knew it was coming. But for some reason, the Seahawks were like, yeah, we haven't figured it out yet. Maybe they didn't study it enough coming into that week prior. They didn't do their homework on that regard. But that's what I think Bobby is going to bring to this defense. And also having a healthy Jamal Adams, we know what he's capable of doing in the running game. That's one of his strengths, is being in the box as that 7th, 8th defender, that linebacker that can come in and just make the play. He knows where it's going. He's going to he's going to get by the offensive tackle or blow up the running back or tight end and make the play on the running back. That's what you have those guys in there for.
Yeah, I think the part where Bobby gets the other guys right is like the biggest part of that is because the best example is because Bobby's always going to be able to make plays for Bobby, but that's just not enough, right? You can't just have one good guy. You got to be able to relay stuff to the other guys, and you have to know the defense so well that you know how they're going to attack you, and then relay that to all the other guys.
So you can set your teammates up to make plays that you can't make yourself.
Yeah, because like you can only be in so many spots. You only have so many responsibilities, and as soon as you start trying to do another guy's job, is when you get in trouble. The best example is probably the Patriots win in 2020 when Bobby knows that Cam Newton and them have been running the same play.
Oh yeah,
to the defense's right. It doesn't matter what down it was because it was the final play of the game, but it was the goal line, and he's like, all right, they run this play, they run it to our right, the offense is left. They keep doing that. So he told everyone, hey, push everything. He slanted the line. We're like, hey, guys, the ball's going to the right. So what does LJ Collier do? Slants right, gets in there. I think he and Delano Hill are who ended up making the play. They flipped Cam Newton, game over, right? Like that was Bobby knowing, like, all right, I can't get there. My job is not to get there. But you can get there if you do what I tell you. And that's huge because it's one thing to be a good player for yourself. But it's another thing to take that next level and be like, I am making the other guys around me better. Like I understand the coach is telling me, I know how to relay that to the guys. And without even the coach telling me, I know how to relay stuff to all the guys and get them right. So that's where one guy can probably literally jump them from where they gave up the 3rd most yards on the ground in the league. That number could drop to like 11th, or they could have like the 11th best run defense or something like that. Like I really think that's how impactful it could be to just have a future Hall of Fame guy in there who knows how to help everyone else. And that's the side of the ball where it's like, man, it can't get much worse. They were getting run all over by everybody. But I think Clint Hurt did make a good point. It's like, yeah, we had 45 sacks with a bad run defense. Now imagine if we fix that or even just play it better. We're going to get more chances. So, yeah, I'm with him on that. Like when I watched the Edge group the last couple of days and then like thinking about that, looking at some numbers, I'm like, you know what? He's on to something. He's on to something. If you just have an average run defense with a lot of the same pieces up front, rushing the passer, you lose Quentin Jefferson, but you get Draymond Jones, probably a wash. Like that's cool. I think, yeah, this could be like a 50-sack team with even if they just have an average run defense. And then, like you mentioned, now we gotta talk about the offense. Did we get a question on D?
I know Eskridge. This is from Tyler. I know Eskridge seems to be having a great camp thus far. If he remains healthy, where do you see him fit in the offense moving forward, especially with JSN, who is making a name for himself on the offense?
Yeah, I actually don't think – so this is the downside of it. I don't think that D is going to end up getting a ton of volume. Like I feel like if he catches like 20 balls or something like that. Like that's probably just like realistic on a team where you have Noah Fant, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I feel like and then the running backs were going to catch passes as well. But Geno is only going to throw so many passes. Right? That's just kind of the reality of the situation. But what has been encouraging, and this is true for Mike Jack and Trey Brown too. Like when the first round pick has come into their room, these guys have stepped up and played really well. I think D's like scoring like every other practice. He had a beautiful corner route out of the slot the other day that he caught from Drew Lock. He caught another touchdown from a long touchdown from Drew Lock over, I think it was Arquan Bush that he caught. Like he had a really good screen pass that went, and I hate screens.
Another screen work. There we go.
He did. It was a really good screen pass. This was from, I think it was from Geno. I think it was from from Drew. But either way, he took it all the way down to the goal line. Like D's got it. He's fighting. He's making plays. He's being really physical. Like I mentioned earlier, Devon just laid him out. What D do? Pop right back up, went helmet to helmet with him, was like, "What's up? You're here. I'm here too." I think Jarek Reed, the rookie safety out of New Mexico, pushed D out of bounds on that screen pass, and D did a front flip out of bounds, landed super hard. It sounded super painful. D popped right back up, ran to the huddle like, "What's up? Next play. I'm ready. Y'all ain't like I'm here." And I think that's been the most encouraging part. I don't think it's actually going to result in many, balls coming his way. Just because think about it. The fourth receiver on the best offense in the league don't catch no passes. That's just kind of reality. But there is a role for if someone goes down, I do think this might be the year. Okay, you can trust D to maybe he's gonna probably do kickoff again. He had a really good kickoff return in practice. This was on Tuesday. He's gonna be a screen guy. He can get vertical, which I've been waiting to see that. I've talked about this on the show. I'm not a big make Dee Eskridge the gadget guy. Nah, man. D can fly. Have him run down the field and catch the ball. He can do that. It's particularly out of the slot. I think he's been really good there. So, even the whip route that he ran against Devon Witherspoon that the team posted on his Twitter account today, he got open against Spoon. He just should have caught the ball. I can't tell if it was tipped by Spoon. If it was, that makes that catch 100 times harder. But he was able to, get free. So credit to D, he's fighting. And that's really what you want to see when you bring a top pick into your room. You want to see how these guys respond. Do you buck up and fight for your job? Whether you win it or not, is what it is, right? Because there's politics in football. But he's fighting the right way. He's showing up. I'm pretty sure in all of my notes from every training camp practice, except for the one day that was closed, I think it was Thursday, day 2. I think I've had D in there every time. Maybe not after Tuesday's practice because I went really heavy on the defense because Clint Hurt gave some good insight on some guys. But yeah, D's been damn near every day. I've been like, oh yeah, D had a touchdown today. Oh dang, D had a big catch. Oh dang, D had a screen pass. I hate screen passes, but whatever. It's working. It was funny, Chris. I wish you were there for this too. There was a successful screen pass, right? And they tried to run another screen pass later, and Julian Love just blew it up. And it was just see, y'all just got to stop doing that. But I understand it's a great way to beat the blitz, get the ball out. Geno took 50 sacks last year, so it's you want to get the ball out of his hands. But I pray that they kill the screen game thing. But they are going to run it, at least do it right. And I think the ones that D have worked, the ones that Jackson have worked, just the ones that are tight ends and running backs, maybe just kill those. But there's not much of a role for D in terms of volume, but man, it is good to see that he's healthy, he's being physical, being tough, he's making plays. Good for him, man. At this point, I just want him to be out there and just make some plays. And I feel bad for guys that just always are hurt. He's out there fighting.
I think the one player comp that's playing currently that I think Dee Eskridge could potentially be more like when he gets the opportunities is Sky Moore for the Chiefs. He is probably their fourth wide receiver. But when he gets the ball, he's pretty electric with it. It's either a touchdown or just a big play. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Sky had maybe 22 catches for maybe 200-plus yards last season, which I think is probably what you're thinking D could do. And then in the playoffs, I think he had a touchdown here and there. He had a couple plays where he just broke out. I'm like, who is this guy?
He scored in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah.
I can guarantee you he did. Yeah.
I think it was on that crazy play the Chiefs ran where they motioned him as if he was coming across the formation. And of course, the Eagles were in man. He stopped on a dime, and then they
It was
threw
cover. It was cover zero, and they blitzed, and they got they got.
I think it was on the Netflix series Quarterback.
It was. That's how I remember.
Yep.
So I just watched that. Yeah, Sky Moore had 22 catches for 250 yards, and he had 13 first downs. Like that's not like super high volume, but when you're on that team with all those weapons, there's only so much to go around. So yeah, that's probably a realistic thing for D. You know, I mean, it's not ideal. It's not ideal for a guy in year 3 who was a second round pick, but again, 100%. Tyler, DK, JSN, like at this point, you just want D to make it through the whole year. But I more than what he's gonna do on the field in the regular season thing, just right now to see him just like making plays every day.
Bingo.
That's really good.
Exactly. That's where I'm at with it. As you mentioned, he's making plays. He is noticeable. He's not an afterthought. D is out there making plays, and that's all you could ask for. It becomes a concern when this is his 3rd season, and we're talking about, damn, D's not even getting the ball. But you talked about his touchdowns. You talked about, damn, every day he's made a play. You can't forget about him, and that's big. Because with that being said, I know he was a high draft pick for the Seahawks in that regard. He is making room for himself with this loaded wide receiving unit. DK.
I'm gonna put his numbers in perspective for a second here.
Yep.
What did I say? Sky had 22 for 250 and 13 first downs. So D for his career has 17 catches for 122, 1 touchdown, and only 8 first downs. So like that Sky last year had like outproduced all of these like just 20 games that he's appeared in. So that puts in perspective. If D has a year like that, you know, it's like he's at least productive. And then again, he's contributing on kickoff. I would like him. He's becoming like, all right, he should be the guy I think should do kickoff. And then my punt guys are still Aesop, Winston Jr. or Jackson Smith and Jigba. Probably go with Aesop. But you know, that's because I have a Coop bias. But I mean, he and Jackson are the main 2 dudes back there practicing this. So yeah, I would roll with him. But yeah, good for D, man. He's out there fighting for a dude's like, I know I'm here too. Like I can still ball.
Yeah, he can. We know he can still ball. Shoot, go pull up that highlight tape. We know he has it in him.
Unfortunately, he can do it.
Unfortunately, just injuries and not staying on the field really set him back. And the Seahawks wanted someone they can rely on, and they took JSN with their second highest pick in the draft, 15th overall, and that's where we are with it. And yeah,
I do like. Did we get a question on Jackson specifically? I was going to talk about him, but I remember someone asked specifically about Smith and Jigba. I want to answer what they wanted to know. What was the question?
That was Eskridge philosophy. It'll be easier if I search his name. Let's see. Who's impressed you? That ain't it. Okay. Here it is. It's from KJ. If you had to guess, as of right now, how big of an immediate role in the offense do you see Jackson Smith and Jigba having?
Yeah, so I think so. Just like how the issue with the running backs getting paid more is that like to pay running backs more, you have to take money from another position, right? Because it's a hard cap in the NFL. There's only so much money you can spend. If you're going to pay running backs more, you have to pay someone less. Same thing is with when you like incorporate, you know, guys into an offense. If someone catches the ball more, someone is probably going to catch the ball less. Right? And the more I've kind of thought about this, and this is part of some of this is probably because Noah hasn't been out there, but I do think that Jackson's probably going to start stealing some stuff from the tight end room. Like, I feel like that's the group that is going to sacrifice. I feel like DK's still going to get his. Lockett's always going to get his because he's just always open. And then I think that the people who are going to sacrifice are probably the running backs, but I think the biggest sacrifice is probably going to come from the tight end room. Part of the reason I think that is because they're going to play more 11 personnel, which is only one tight end on the field. So if there's any one of you guys out there and 3 receivers, the math does the thing that math does. So I think, let me look at Noah Fant's numbers from last season, because I think now if Jackson posted those numbers, that would be like, I think that's most like the best case and most real scenario.
50, 486, 50 catches, 486 yards, and 4 tugs.
I think that if that's Jackson's year, like that should be like the hope. 50 ball, which 50 is a lot. 50 is how many catches is that? Like it's like 3 catches a game. Or yeah, 3 catches.
Math, man. Don't do this to me.
Well, 3 catches a week, 7 times 3 is 51. So yeah, 50 catches. Yeah.
Ain't nobody trying to do math, man. Thank you.
It's okay. But yes, that's about 3 catches a game, which is not that crazy. 3 catches a game. And something could be a screen, it could be a deep ball, red zone, whatever. So I think that's become my new. The more I watch the offense, I'm just like, there's just no reason for them to. I wouldn't say no reason. There's no reason for them to live in 12 personnel, like and like early downs. Like
break it down for those that don't know, Mike. What is 12 personnel?
Oh yeah, 12 personnel is 2 tight end sets. So it's like 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, 1 running back. It wasn't their most popular personnel grouping. The most popular personnel was still 11 personnel. But then when you look at
what's 11, Mike, give it to him.
11 is 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. So the 11 is in reference to what's that? 1 tight end and then 1 running back. Yeah, that's where you get the 1 and the 1 for 11 personnel. So when they're in 11, that's usually like your passing set. But like I feel like Seattle can run the ball out of that too. And Jackson, DK, Tyler, just like we were talking about with like getting your best defensive guys on the field, the same thing on offense. Jackson, DK, Tyler, and 1 of the tight ends. I feel like that's your best like lineup. You should roll with that. I don't really care who the running back is at that point. That's your best lineup. And I do think that before I think I used David Moore's 2020 season as a comp. That's like 35 catches, however many yards, and about 6 touchdowns. I would up the catches. I think if I'm going to up those catches and then pull those catches from the tight end group, like maybe Noah drops down to like 35. Maybe Colby drops like 5. Will drops like 5. And then you get however many catches. Maybe D takes a couple from DK, but like I just think that by the end of the year, we'll probably be able to look back and be like, from week 8 to week 18 or whatever, the Seahawks 11 personnel usage was first in the league or something like that. Because after a while, it's going to be like, we need to get number 11 the ball because this dude is nice. Because like Chris, I don't see. He just seems so perfect for what they need. Like it's not even like some teams need like a guy to be a star. Like when the Cowboys, I'm trying to think who just drafted a guy like and they need him to be like when the Vikings drafted Justin Jefferson. It was like, wow, we just lost Stephon Diggs. We need him to come in right away. Or like all of the receivers the Packers just acquired after trading Devontae. It was like, we need you guys to do something right now. Even the guy that the Giants just drafted, forget his name, but like I think Hyatt is his last name. It's like, we need you to do something right now because all of our receivers stink. That's not the case in Seattle. It's more like we need you to do this specific thing really well. And Jackson's like, yeah, that happens to be the thing I do best. And it lines up so well, man. The more I watch the offense, I get really hype about their ability to put up a lot of points this year. Like Jackson should be a 50 catch guy. That should be like the hope. And if he lands at like 30, 35, that's fine too. But like if he gets to be a 50 catch guy, I'm like, yeah, that he had a really successful rookie year.
Yeah, we talked about it off wax about how polished he looks, how comfortable he is within the Seahawks offense, and how when the ball's thrown to him, Mike, he said he's always open, right? He's just there. He's there. He makes plays.
Yep.
That's all you can ask for. You drafted a guy, 20th overall. Excuse me, I said 15th earlier. Don't know what I was thinking, but 20th overall. And he is living up to that hype. He is the best receiver in this draft class, and he's not missing a beat. The one-hand grab.
That's going to be a good discussion at the end of the year, I think.
There are some guys across the league that have made some splashes. I'm not going to lie. We've seen the one-on-ones. We've seen the footage on Twitter. But Seahawks-wise, he's putting up – he's standing tall right now. He's not backing down. He knows the camera, the spotlight's on him, and he's saying the bright lights don't stop me. Mike says, what do you say? The booty holes get tight when the bright lights come on?
Oh, yeah. I was like, well, I said that? But yeah, I did. No. In that context, at first, I'm like, yo.
Mike said, whoa.
I said that? Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah. I think Zay Flowers, from what I've heard in Baltimore, he might be the truth too.
Okay.
That might be the other guy where we're talking like, just like Sauce and Tariq, that might be the new, like, the 2023 version is like, JSN and Zay. Because both of them dudes is like, Zay Flowers is real. Yeah, when y'all done listening, go to Twitter, type in Zay Flowers, and scroll to the video section. Whatever pops up, you be like, damn. Yeah. It's the same thing you do when you watch JSN. You be like, damn.
Yeah,
same stuff.
He's really talented, and he's poetic with it. There's just something about him that he's not cocky. I don't see him out there talking. He just does it, and that's it. He just does what he does, and that's it. Which is probably it's almost to the Steph Curry effect. Steph Curry now he marches.
No, Steph Curry's an asshole.
Well, now he is, but before he would just hoop. But now he got rings, and he has solidified himself as one of the greatest. Now he's talking. He's counting your face. But JSN, I think before Steph became who Steph is now, he would just go out there and give you buckets. Babyface assassin. He wouldn't say much. He would just go hoop, drop 30, and be like, damn, who is this dude? And that's kind of what I'm seeing with JSN. Just, damn, this dude really nice with it. But he's not talking. He's not saying nothing. He's just catching a touchdown, dabbing up his teammates, going back. When are we going to get that? Are we going to get that JSN where he is now? Flexing on dudes, going crazy, and just becoming his own personality. But I don't even know if he was doing that in college. He was really just out there getting tugs, making big plays, splash plays, that is. And the Seahawks said, we need that. And you know what they did? They took him, 20th overall. And in camp, Mike has seen it. Everyone's seen it. It's going to be a fun season with him. 3rd and 9. I think we're going to go to JSN here. What do you guys think? My next question before we get out of here, Mike. You're going to be in how many fantasy leagues this year? 4, maybe 3 or 4.
Too many.
Okay, let's just cap it at 4. And how many leagues will you take JSN?
I'm not sure. I don't know if he'll have the volume really for me to take him. Though I will say, real quick on Steph, I think Steph's one of the biggest assholes in the league. Anybody who shoots the ball and turn around for it go in.
But he wasn't doing that before, though.
Oh, he was doing that pretty early. There's a story. We won't stay too long on it, but if you guys are curious on it, the homie Marcus Thompson at The Athletic wrote about this. I think it's called like the audaciousness of Steph Curry. I want to say. I remember reading that too. I think it's for when we did the top 100 players of all time. I think that was the story for Steph's entry. But anyway, that speaks to how long he's been doing that wild stuff where he just shoots the ball and then turns around. You arrogant ass. But anyway, I probably would Josh Jackson in my big money league. That's like $150 to get in. Because, that one, or at least I'll try to pick him up later because, like, that one is 14 teams, $150 buy-in, and we only got 3 bench spots. So it gets dicey. So I'll try to pick him up there. We'll see. I always try to get DK. DK's cold. Yeah. It sucks. I avoid Tyler because he can be kind of frustrating. He can have really big weeks and then disappear. That's just too frustrating for me. It all evens out by the time you look at his numbers at the end of the year. But
that's not how fantasy works.
Yeah, fantasy purposes, I need consistency. So, but yeah, I always try to get DK. But yeah, I think Jackson and Zay Flowers both fit what Seattle needed. Like if they'd have took either guy, I thought it would have been great. But yeah, Jackson, my little player comp for him for we get out of here. He reminds me of what Devontae Smith brings to the Eagles in that he's small. They're both very small. I think Devontae might weigh as much as me. But they have really good body control. Like that's really impressive. You look like some of the catches Devontae can make. Like he's really acrobatic almost. And you look, Jackson's probably not to the same level, but it's like the talent, the same skill set is there. You look at the toe tap he had. I think the team posted that. Look at one of the catches he had today or whatever day that was going up against Trey Brown, where he went up and high pointed it. Like he can go get balls low. He knows he got good spatial awareness again in zone, and he can go up and get a ball. Like that's, yeah, man. These guys should score 30 points a game. Like there's really, I see no reason if everybody's healthy to not score 30 points a game. There's really just that's my hot take from camp. It's like these guys should score 30, and that might not even lead the league because I think the Chiefs should score 40, and the Bills should score 40 as well. But the Seahawks should be right there scoring like anywhere from 28 to 30 points a night.
Well, in that case, you might want to take Geno Smith as your quarterback, guys. Listen in.
I'm gonna try to get I get quarterbacks real late, so I'm probably
no. I know that, but I'm just saying if Geno's available,
I take guys late.
Might want to swing.
Yeah, I'll probably go for him. And I don't think Geno's going to throw a lot of picks, though he has thrown quite a few in camp. But I know if you guys are worried about that, my Mike's take on it is he's able to take more risks in practice than he has in the past. Like when you're a backup, your job, or you're fighting for a job. You just want to not make mistakes, which is fine. That's your job. When you're the starter, you can take some risks. You can try that throw in a double coverage. You can see if that corner is going to make that jump ball play. You know, you couldn't do that when you're just trying not to mess up. Now Geno's like, no, I'm him. I'm about to go out there and take some of these chances. And then you can watch the film and be like, all right, here's the limit I pushed. I can't do that. Now I need to, reel it back in, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's just coming with the new freedom of being, the starter for the first time. This is the first time Geno's been the starter in the summertime since 2014. I want to say that's a long time ago. Like I was still in college, and I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary of graduating. So it's like that just shows you how long it's been. So I'm giving Geno some grace until I see him just throw a bunch of picks in some games. Then I'll be like, chill. But for now, it's just like, nah, man, take those risks, because before he was playing too risk averse. Now it's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead, let it fly. Especially with the guys he's got. Throw it up to DK. Please.
All right. To get back on my JSN point before we close, I won't use Steph Curry because I can't remember how early he started being arrogant, as Mike put it. But you know what? It's more Cooper Cup-esque. Cooper Cup don't do nothing.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
He'll score a touchdown. He'll score 10 touchdowns in a game and just act like he scored his first touchdown. Hand the ball to a ref, go to the sideline, dab up his teammates. That's the vibe I get with JSN. He's just all about business. He might route you up for 300 yards. And you know what? He might not dance on you one time. He's just going to catch the ball, get up, next play. And I have no problem with it. But Lord knows if I was him, Jesus, man, I'd have so many penalties thrown my way. They might kick me out the game. I don't know how to act. But that's all I got. Mike, is there anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
I agree with that comp, by the way. I think it's a better comp than Steph. Steph is arrogant, dog.
But see, what's the earliest you remember him becoming that arrogant guy? Because he wasn't like that his whole career. That's what I'm getting at. I just don't remember the point. I think it was when LeBron was in Miami. Like that might have been the last time we saw him getting buckets and not being an asshole, being arrogant. That might have, and that's 2014. After that, you have a point, Mike. He might have just went crazy and just started being like, damn, turn around, hitting threes in your face, just being an asshole. But I think 2014.
I don't remember specifically when he started doing that turning around thing. I think it's in Marcus's story. I got to go read Marcus's thing again. But I don't want to spend too much time on it. I think the cup thing is better. That's a good
Fair
one.
enough.
Cup is better. I think by the time you guys listen to this, it's going to be their off day, which is great. I needed the off day too. And then they got the mock game on Friday.
Be there for the mock.
You be at the mock game? Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I won't be there Thursday, but mock game, I'm there.
Nice. All right. Well, then we probably won't record after the mock game. Probably wait a little bit. Probably around, give it another week. Let some more practices pile up before we give some more hot takes. But until then, we really appreciate you guys tapping in. We appreciate you guys have been reading all the stories. You guys have given feedback on the pod. I know you guys will as well with this one drops as well. You guys have been tweeting us. Appreciate that. We appreciate all that love and support. We really, really do. This should be a fun season. I can't wait. We will catch you guys probably around next week, maybe ahead of or after their first preseason game. Until then, peace.